You're listening to Film Seizure. Before we get started, just a word of caution. This is a pretty R rated show, so if you're listening at work or school or around your kids or grandparents, or hell, church for that matter, you might want to put some headphones on. Catch new episodes every other Wednesday on filmseizure.com and follow us on Facebook at Film Seizure and Twitter and Instagram at Film Seizure, all one word. But for now, if you're all set, then let's sit back and enjoy a couple of grade A assholes sit around and talk about movies.
Julian Sands. It is time.
I welcome my lord!
Warlock. The Armageddon.
All right, this is Jason Oliver and
Geoff Arbuckle.
this film Seizure. We just finished watching Warlock 2 Armageddon.
Whew, that's a bad one, man.
Yeah.
That was a bad 98 minutes.
Yeah, it was rough. Warlock, I think the first one didn't quite meet expectations, but this one
wasn't terrible.
But it wasn't terrible.
I mean,
right.
I think let's back up. Let's back up and talk about the first. So if you listen to our first episode, we were not overly upset with revisiting Warlock, which
Very
was
true.
a movie that we both knew from our youth, that we both were excited to see again.
Yeah, it was fun to revisit it for sure,
and definitely had a lot of charm to it, with Julian Sands being a really good bad guy,
yeah,
and Richard E. Grant being a really good guy,
yeah.
And so we thought, well, it's like this kind of missed, but because we didn't know anything about the sequels, and the purpose of our show is to kind of take 3 or 4 movies that are part of a series or have some sort of, most of the time, a loose connection of some sort, or just something that we want to watch throughout the course of an entire day and talk about each one of them.
Right.
So, we it's like we have this trilogy. It was just released not too long ago on Blu-ray. We thought that's how we'll start it. We'll start with this trilogy.
Yeah, and we'll kind of talk about it in the context of an entire franchise.
Well, yeah, and
Which we both kind of feel is an interesting approach to some sort of film analysis, if you will. But oh boy, I mean, we know we're gonna watch some bad ones, and we got a bad one early.
And here's the thing: it's like I love watching bad movies. You love watching. This is the genesis of how we eventually got here, talking into this microphone. And the thing is that there can be movies that are exceptionally enjoyable, that are absolutely bad, and just flat out in your face a shit movie.
Right.
But they can be fun.
Sure.
It's like, I remember the very first bad movie night we ever had. I mean, we started with it was the Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, we watched Street Fighter, the Legend of Chun-Li, which, good lord, we got to do that one again and talk about it. Because that's just exceptionally bad, but so much fun.
So fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we did The Room that night, too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's become, I guess, the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, and that's the king of bad movies that are enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
But then there are bad movies that are frustrating or just simply not fun to watch. And that's what we got here.
Yeah.
We really did. I guess the best place to start is really to say that this is not an actual sequel.
No, it's not.
It is what they call an in-name only sequel, which happens a lot with foreign productions, whether they are sequeling.
Yeah, they'll retitle or something,
or they're just making a cheap knockoff sequel of an American movie. It's not, and we are going to hit those.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're going to.
And some of them are really good.
Sure. But this one has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with the first Warlock,
and it is. I mean, you have Julian Sands.
Right. Well, that's what makes it so weird, right? Is because it's a sequel in name only, but you have the same lead actor.
Yeah.
How many times does that actually happen?
I mean, I guess it's happened a few times, but I mean,
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure they're out there. If there are, let us know on social media. We'd love to take a look at them. But I just thinking about it off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Sometimes you would have a writer or a director or a producer or
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
who's distributing, and I mean, I guess.
But this is a lead actor
Yeah.
coming back in a sequel in a different role. That's weird as hell.
Well, here's kind of what's funny is I'm kind of looking at a poster right now where that is actually common. The Godzilla movies were there were some situations where you don't know if they were truly sequels or just another movie starring a monster.
Sure.
And some of the other Toho movies, or some movies were made with the intent to be about something else. And then they said, well, we don't know if we can sell this. Just film some Godzilla scenes and throw it in.
Sure.
So, I mean, but
feel like it's a little different.
That's a little different because it's not that's a character type of thing.
Yeah.
And we
and at least that's the same character. I
mean,
it's Godzilla. I mean, this isn't even the same character.
Right, exactly. I mean, this is a Warlock, quote unquote.
Right.
That's it, just Warlock in name only, same actor, different character.
And I guess maybe it could be the same Warlock. Like,
no, it's not at all though, because the first movie didn't have anything to do with druids.
I know, but still, it's kind of like the way the Warlock is introduced into the movie could kind of sort of be like it's been regurgitated back into our world for some purpose of nefarious Satanism. I don't know. I mean,
some sort of nefarious dark
business. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a stretch. It's a huge stretch.
So here's okay. So I don't want to spend any fucking time talking about the plot.
I don't either. Movie. I don't want to go beat for beat on this one because it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
So essentially,
I want to talk about everything I hate about it.
Yeah.
And a few things I liked about it.
There are a few things you like.
I do. There are some few things I like about it. Maybe two things.
Whoa. I got just one thing I liked about it, but
I know exactly what that one thing is. But it's the 3 boobs you got to see.
No.
Plus the side boob.
Well. Plus our main girl, who we'll get into that here.
Sure.
So. All right, so so basically, this movie is about there's an opening title card where it talks about druids, and a lunar eclipse, and how when things align just right,
was it a lunar eclipse? Or
I don't know.
A solar eclipse, because at the end it was
they
totally
said the
solar
sun,
eclipse.
Yeah.
Oh, so fucking stupid. All right.
It was basically the sun and the moon align.
Okay.
Which, by the way, does that happen at night?
Just happened. What?
Yeah, I mean, in real life, it just happened.
Yeah.
Does that happen at night?
What if there was a Warlock battle somewhere with druids that we didn't know about last month?
I hope. I mean, if nothing else, I hope. I guess, but I mean, because I guess I don't know. Anyway. I'm flummoxed here. Guys.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
So the time has come again.
Yeah.
And the movie starts back like in the Dark Ages, and I think they said it's a 600 or 700 year cycle or something. Somebody mentions
like
that.
Yeah.
So the druids are
the 17th century again. That is the only like time kind of connection to the last one. It was.
I don't think so, because it was knights.
I thought it was the 1700s.
It was guys in armor.
17th century, no?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like the 1200s.
Maybe.
Or something, because there was guys in armor.
Maybe, who gives a shit?
So, so the movie starts with this girl who is pregnant and is being exorcised, essentially, by some druids.
Yeah.
And these knights come along, and they're all dressed in black, but they're also like sword-wielding, armor-wearing knights. And they kill all the druids and the girl, like murdered them.
Yeah, they straight murder them all.
They don't say why.
No.
Nobody says why.
But they take all the rune stones, right?
Yeah,
Did they take them all?
I guess.
Well, the rune stones, which aren't stones. They're
They're
fucking
gems.
So they already have got us
They're
confused.
New Age gems.
It's really stupid.
And so the stones are now spread out, and now it's about to happen again. And Julian Sands is
Well, this is the best part of the movie.
yes. So the best part of the movie happens off the top, after the credits and after the girl gets killed from the 1200s or whenever that was. Julian Sands is reborn into this world
Yeah.
through a super hot chick who's dating Zach Galligan in this movie.
Yeah. Which
We'll
talk
get
about
into
that.
all that later.
Yeah.
I mean, he is like straight up born out of her, like out of a pile of goo that came shooting out of her vagina.
So she's in this sexy black dress, and
Oof, yeah.
she's like thrown back on this table, and her legs spread, and out from from within her, between her legs shoots this big pile of Cronenberg, right? And and then this out of this big pile of Cronenberg is birthed Julian Sands, like crawls out of this thing,
Which is really cool.
it is
very
freaking
gross.
cool. Like it is. I was thinking. I looked at Geoff and I was like, "All right, we might have something here. This could be a fucking great movie." And that was the best I got.
Yeah. And so he kills the girl and divines from her by sticking his fingers into her head.
Yeah.
That what he's to do, which is to collect the runestones so that the devil can come back, whatever. And so this leads into
plot.
Yeah, this leads into a road movie for him because he has to travel across the United States.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Where did he get his map? Did he get a map from
he get
her
it from
too?
her stomach.
He got
cut
everything
it off
from
of
her.
her.
So he cut off a piece of her flesh, and it created this map of the United States, and this blood, like, basically created the path that he needed to take to all
It
the
was
different
Route
rune
66.
stones. Yeah, Route 666.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Like, all of this was really cool. That's like an awesome way to start a stupid fucking Warlock movie, right? Is this amazing sort of birth scene, visceral. We were talking about how Hellraiser it felt because, funny enough, the director of this movie is the same guy who directed Hellraiser 3.
Anthony Hickox.
Which Geoff has written about before. Check out his blog. But yeah, it was like it was feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, like I noticed in the previews that it's like, oh, it's the girl who was turned into the lost girl, quote unquote, that was turned into a Cenobite in Hellraiser 3. I'm like, okay, I've got a connection to these movies. We've got Julian Sands. We just saw him. I've got the guy who created the third best Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
It's a distant third. We got the girl from it that I like her. I mean, the dark hair and everything.
The music. I mean, we're pretty sure that a lot of the musical cues were straight up from Hellraiser 3.
Which sounds an awful lot like Hellraiser 1 or 2. So, I mean, it is touching some things that I'm very, very into. So the one half of the story is Julian Sands going across the country to pick up all these runestones and rebirth darkness onto the planet.
Right. Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon. I guess it's in the title.
Yeah.
I should just call it what it is. On the other side of this plot, we have Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
So the druids, there are 3 druids in all the world, apparently.
Well, 4. There's 4.
Okay, 4.
There's 4 druids.
4 druids.
They're all old dudes. They hang out at the cafe, drink coffee, and
One
every morning at 6 a.m. we'll probably talk about politics.
Yeah. One guy became a preacher.
Yes.
For this town. And, okay.
Probably the most interesting character, if we were going to say there is one in this movie, it would be him.
Yes, because my guess was, although I don't think they actually really explored it, my guess was he turned away from the druid faith because he was fucking tired of waiting around for something to happen.
Yeah.
And nothing happened.
Yeah.
And now something's happening, and he's basically stuck between his part in this town as the preacher and
but
his
shit gets real
power.
stupid. Shit gets real stupid, though, because, like, plagues start happening, like, birds start falling out of the sky, and it starts raining blood on this town, because I guess that's because where the druids are. and then all the townsfolk start blaming the 3 old guys who don't go to church. It's fucking stupid. Like,
Well, small town.
I know, but come on. I mean,
Hey,
uh,
witches, man. Warlocks.
witches, yeah, but they're not like out there casting spells and shit. They're just 3 old guys who eat breakfast at fucking 6 a.m. every morning, drink coffee, and talk about politics. Probably, right? Like
Right.
every old guy in the world. So
They play chess.
they
with
play
their,
chess
with their sons.
Yeah, so all of a sudden the town turns on these guys, and that's a whole thing.
Yeah. So one of the guys has a kid who basically he has to, once he realizes that the warlock has been brought back to life, he kills his son with the intent to resurrect him with powers
Yeah,
of a Jedi.
yeah, it is literally.
So he kills his son, brings him back to life like Electra style, like fucking straight up the hand.
Yeah.
And the kid now has Jedi powers.
Yeah, he can move objects with his mind.
Mostly a baseball.
Mostly baseball. So spheres. I mean, there are beats straight out of Star Wars. It's strange.
And music.
Yeah.
Music cues that are almost practically lifted from
like
Star
John
Wars.
Williams rip-off kind of generic music
Yeah.
cues. Yeah, it's in there.
And so basically, he has a little girlfriend who I would like to be.
Yeah, she's very cute.
I would like her to be my girlfriend. She's the girl who is the
preacher's daughter.
She's the preacher's daughter. She's also the girl from Hellraiser 3,
Hellraiser
not
3.
Terry Farrell, who was Dax on Star Trek. Deep Space
Oh,
Nine.
I never made that connection before.
She was the lead in Hellraiser 3.
Huh.
But it's the other girl. And so it's like, come to find out that I think the main reason is ultimately exposed that the preacher turned away from the Druids because he did not want to turn his daughter into one of the warriors.
Right.
So he went a different path. Well, she finds out from her boyfriend that, magic powers.
Yeah. I want to die
some.
too. Yeah.
So she stabs herself, and there was a really cool transition where she then wakes up immediately on the table. That was pretty cool.
They did a good job with that. They didn't belabor it. Yeah.
But
a lot of things are very belabored.
But so that leads to a big showdown. Julian Sands wins for a moment, but thanks to the most ridiculous thing that's ever happened to defeat the powers of darkness.
Yeah.
Which that's a little bit of a tease.
They
win
of a 90s truck. The floodlights of a 90s truck. This does not leave them in suspense.
Yeah. So they're tied up to a tree and to the truck, and Julian Sands has released the demon, and it's taking over during the eclipse, and they just with their mind powers flip on the headlights
and
of
the
a
floodlights
truck.
Of a truck. And
that kills them.
Yeah.
Or it kills the demon. Warlock kind of has one of those.
He has one of his his return from you think he's dead, he's back, and then he dies. And there's that whole like really badly CGI'd like dagger in the air back and forth with their minds fight, which is terrible. Anyway, none of that fucking matters because the movie sucks.
I was shaking my head as if I didn't want to talk about it. I know we have to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't either. A lot of the special effects in this movie are not so special. They're effects.
Oh, they're special.
And yes, they're special in their own way. They're really, really bad.
They're cartoonish.
They look kind of like if you played Myst in the early, the first Myst. If you took some of the effects out of that and like superimposed it into a movie, it kind of looked like that.
Well, also keep in mind, now, granted, this movie's a direct-to-video movie, and that's obviously showing. But it was also the same year as Jurassic Park, but it looked like that computer world animation bullshit that was in Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
That looks really out of place.
Even way worse than Lawnmower Man.
And people are reacting to when our lead starts throwing the baseball around with his mind, they're reacting to it so badly.
Yeah, they're like, look, now I have to look up here, and I have to look up there.
It's like cats with a toy. I mean, it's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's
the baseball,
anyway,
like floating around everywhere, and that was the other thing too. It's like it really had a feel of some bad Phantasm effects too, like There are some
Yeah, the, like
really bad
Phantasm
effects
3.
in some of the later Phantasm movies. It had that same feel for sure,
Yeah.
but with a much less interesting plot.
So that, I mean, that is literally, there is, I mean, again, this is another movie where things happen,
Yeah.
and I pointed out at one point in time, because not only in one scene did the film stock change
Yeah.
to be a
It
completely
absolutely
different
did.
movie,
It looked so bizarre.
but that it felt like a movie that had no idea what it was and was multiple movies crammed into a single idea.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that tied it together was Julian Sands. Now, one thing I will say before we start getting into the list of things we liked and things we didn't like, I suspect that Julian Sands, I had said this when we were watching it, that there was a contract that was grandfathered when...
Signed in blood.
Pretty much. That when, okay, so New World Pictures made the first movie, and it was, New World Pictures went out of business right around the late 80s, early 90s. And movies, the licenses went to different places, and the property of the movie went to a couple of different places, Trimark being one of them, and they released the first Warlock movie.
Right.
I suspect that there was some sort of contract that was protected or grandfathered in that Julian Sands had to make the second one, and he forced it upon them.
You know, I almost wonder, I think that's possible, but I almost wonder if it's the opposite. I almost wonder if Trimark held a contract and said, we want to make another Warlock movie because this one made so much money for us.
It's possible.
And you need to come back and portray the Warlock. Because he's not having much fun in this movie.
No, he's not.
He is not having much fun in this movie.
You could have had anybody else play that
It could have
part.
been anyone else. The only reason he's in this is because the name of the movie is Warlock. Like, anybody else could have been that role, and it would be just as effective because he is not at all enjoying his time in this movie. I mean, none of the charm of the first movie is present. None of the sort of playfulness, the slyness that you can see in his face in some of the scenes. Like, he is just phoning this fucking thing in, and it's so apparent that they tried to also like change the approach. It's almost like they wanted to make him sort of a Freddy Krueger one-liner kind of villain. Because he says stupid things throughout the movie. Like, he runs over a rabbit in his fake ass General Lee car at one point. And
we'll get to the fake ass.
And he says the Wild West. It's like, what?
Yeah, that doesn't even
like
make
what
sense.
is that? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you say a stupid thing after you ran over a rabbit? That's just like the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. So I think that's a great part. I think that's a great place to start talking about some of the things that that we both dislike. The number one thing that I have, even though it's not the number one thing I dislike, the number one thing I want to start with, since you already brought it up, is there seems like this is such a pale imitation of what a movie is, and it bothered the fuck out of me. Like, like two kids who are obviously attracted to each other, and there's a Romeo and Juliet thing.
Yeah.
But it's not good enough to be something original or to be a straight ripoff of Romeo and Juliet, of the druid kid and the preacher's daughter.
Right.
Sucks. I mean, it sucks.
Well, and then they find out they're both druids. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're all the same on the inside. So.
Oh, there was a message there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the message to me was, Geoff,
stop watching this fucking movie.
Take a fucking hammer and beat your own head in, Geoff. So there's that. There's like it's a pale imitation of what a movie should be. It's obviously a pale imitation of what Warlock was.
Yeah.
It's like you had it's like you had the skin suit of Julian Sands in the closet, and it's like, well, I could put this on.
Right.
I've got a Godzilla
Let's make
costume.
a Warlock movie.
I could.
Right.
It'd be like me putting on that Godzilla movie and I'm in a Godzilla movie, and that's a pale imitation of any. There's no heart. There's no, I don't give a fuck about any of the people in this movie, and that's going to be, I'll get to that in a little bit. But it's just, there's nothing interesting in it. It's just, it's a guy in a black suit that looks like the guy in the black suit in the first movie. They are the same person, but they don't even look alike. Like, Julian Sands looks very different in the few years in between making these two movies.
Yes.
It's just so weird.
Well, let's talk about how he gets the black suit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
hang on a second. We'll get there. Right. We'll get there. So the other thing it's just there's a guy who runs a gas station someplace in the country where Julian Sands is traveling across the country to get the runestones, and the guy has a muscle card that's painted orange that has a number on the side of it that's blue. It looks like the General Lee, but it isn't. That's what this movie is. It looks like a Warlock movie, but it isn't. And that is the detriment of this movie from the get-go. From the get-go, it looks like something that it isn't. And we talked about how much we liked the opening, like the girl giving birth to Julian Sands. And you're set up for something that's interesting and neat, and this Warlock's been brought back to the Earth for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. It was a cool scene, but it's all a pale imitation of what we want to see.
Yeah.
That it ultimately becomes the stupid fucking movie. Anyway, that brings us to the point where we can talk about the black suit because of the girl that birthed him back to life.
It makes me wonder too, briefly before we talk about it, is what we really wanted to see, and I'm not even really sure, because what I do appreciate about what this movie tried to do was create some sort of, I don't know, some sort of mythology, build a world, like try to.
I will say it did kind of build a world better than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it's expand this sort of franchise idea into something that you can maybe, build a franchise on, right? But I think the problem is they shoehorned so many stupid characters and so many stupid ideas and a lot of really bad special effects into one movie that it just, I don't know, it didn't overwhelm, but it all underwhelmed. Everything misfired. Except for that beginning, which gets you really excited, and then nothing ever reaches that sort of potential again.
Yeah. I agree.
And another thing is just the general incompetence of the camera work. I think was constantly taking me out of it. I know it was taking you out of it. Like just always moving the camera, always panning around your actors, always zooming
it broke
in
the
and
180
out.
rule.
Yeah, always keeping like the whole stupid thing with the foreground and the background in focus. Like these
double focus or whatever that's called.
Shots, like so reused. Like all of it was just unbelievably overshot.
And it becomes distracting.
Yeah, it was absolutely the epitome of distracting.
Yeah. So, okay. So I mentioned it, the 180 rule, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the 180 rule is. There are certain rules when it comes to how a movie should be shot, much like there are rules about how stage productions are done and what axes people are allowed to cross. I took a drama class in high school. I suck as an actor, but I was there to think more about the directing side and the writing side and understanding that sort of stuff. And, one of the things that you're always taught is that you are to never cross in front of another actor, especially if your back is turned, and because it steals their moment. And so there is another rule that's similar, but not quite the same, that's done in film, called the 180 rule, where if you have two people standing next to each other and you start on what would be one person's left-hand side and the other person's right-hand side, you cannot turn the camera or move the camera around when you're doing shot reverse shot, where you're showing one person then the next person. you cannot change the position of the camera so that you're looking at the person's opposite hands. So like, okay, so like for example, you and I are standing face to face. You see the right side of my face on screen when I'm talking to you, and then when you're talking to me, I should be seeing the left side of your face. But so that creates a 180 line between our faces.
Yep.
So the camera can only stay
in that 180.
180,
Yep.
and it can pick a side, but it can only but if you see the right side of my face and the left side of your face, it cannot cross that.
Right.
This movie breaks that rule constantly.
Yeah.
There's one shot where it goes from the 180 to like I think I said a 270 degree angle, where it's now shooting from the opposite side of somebody at an angle that it does not naturally have. And the reason why that rule exists is because you, as the audience, are supposed to be sitting in that 180. And it is unnatural for you, in a blink of an eye, to cut back and forth from one side to the other.
Well, it's difficult to understand then what's going on.
You don't know. You lose where you're at.
You lose your total sense of where you are or what you're seeing, and
it's bad when you break that rule. That is bad.
Yeah.
And this movie broke that rule.
It broke it a lot, and it. I don't know. It's almost hard to find words to describe how pitiful some of this movie is.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about the shooting, though, of the film, I mean, we both said that we appreciated the effort, but it was almost as if to try to make something out of nothing, or to have no idea what you want, so you did all the things.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. And my guess is you didn't know what you wanted, so you did all the things.
I think so too. Because I mean, this guy knows where to put a camera. I mean, there are some competent things about this movie. I mean, it's not Citizen Kane, but yeah, he tried all the things. There are low angle shots and close up of actors. There are just extreme close ups where you feel like you could peck both actors on the cheek, while they're delivering these ridiculously stupid lines. Like, and that's the thing too. It's like, why make the choice to show these two actors in such a close-up at this moment? What they're saying isn't of any real gravitas.
No, because close-ups are designed to add impact to something that's being said. And if there's no impact, there's no purpose.
It just felt like I need to do something interesting here, so I'm going to do this. And there was no real sense of restraint.
Yeah. And which is funny because this movie has so many... has so few things going for it that you would think that by simple nature, that it's I don't know.
That it might show some restraint.
That it might show some restraint.
Well, I mean, there was a Dutch angle thrown in there. I mean, just for fun. There was a one shot in the whole fucking movie that's a Dutch angle.
Yeah.
Why? What's the point of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, there were shots that, like, there was the one scene where the guy and the girl are talking about their plans after high school. And so the guy is going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
They live in San Bernardino, which I don't think is too far. That's not too far from San Francisco, is it?
I don't know.
Anyway,
not, maybe.
According to the skin map that
Skin map.
that
which we kind of like.
We do kind of like.
Yeah.
But Julian Sands was headed to the Bay Area. But anyway, so the guy was going to San Francisco. The girl was deciding to stay behind. And so they're having this conversation, which turns into a little bit of an argument, as young kids do when they think they have their futures planned. And it went from a medium shot to a super wide shot of where you see them both standing on either side of a road, which, we get it. But when you go from the medium shot to the super wide shot, just to see her cross that road, and then for them to have this conversation practically miles apart,
right?
That is dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb.
And I can't imagine what that looked like on VHS. Because this
God,
movie
yeah.
was not released in
No,
widescreen.
absolutely not.
It could not have been.
No way.
So I can't imagine what that looked like and how maddening that would have been.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so
Well, what did you like about this movie? Is there anything? Let's be positive. Because we're shitting on this movie a lot.
Well, no, I shit on this movie all through this movie.
I know, we both did. But there are a few things you liked, maybe.
Well, there were
one thing.
There
were
like
3 titties.
Yes, so we had a titty counter and we had a Warlock counter. As it turns out, there were three nipples seen and 3 mentions of the word Warlock.
The word Warlock, which we knew. We predicted this. We should have put it on when we did Warlock 1, because we should have predicted, because people won't believe us. But we should have said it then, that we predicted that they would mention the word Warlock several times in the sequel, because they'd never mentioned the word once in the first movie.
No. And, as it turned out, they mentioned it like 3 times.
3 times.
Which is, I mean, whatever. But, I mean, there were three boobs and a side boob, which still seems like you're undercutting the word Warlock in this. But, so there were some pretty ladies in the, and I guess I could say, it's like, that kind of takes me back to, this was 1993, and, it's like there was like a gothy, grungy type of look to some of the girls, even though they were also glammed up.
Yeah.
And that was my wheelhouse in 1993. So I guess I give them some tip the old cap.
Tip the old cap for the ladies.
For the ladies. I really, really do like the main girl. She was way better in Hellraiser 3 as the girl who couldn't dream, who was eventually turned into the Cenobite Dreamer, who had a cigarette sticking out of her throat, which was both awesome and gross.
That's really awesome and gross.
Yeah, because all she did was smoke cigarettes. But I mean, there's very, very few redeeming qualities. I guess in this, if I was to compare our leading ladies, I care a shit ton more about this one than I did Cassandra with a K in the last episode.
Right.
But that's...
and she ultimately saves the day.
She turns on them lights.
Well,
she also helps
with the knife thing. She saves the...
Yeah, I mean, Julian...
She gets Julian Sands away from them after our first...
Yeah. Julian Sands is terribly uninteresting in this movie.
Yeah, I know, that's a problem.
Yeah. So no, I don't even like him. He brings nothing to the table. It could be they could have replaced him.
Yeah.
I mean, no. So I guess I like the pretty ladies.
Yeah. All right.
Because it was like, well, you had the girl that gave birth to Julian Sands. She was really, really attractive. Then you had the main girl, which I've seen in other things anyway, and I don't know. I mean, that was really about it. Seriously. Because I told you from the start, I hated the way they presented the credits.
Yeah.
That tipped me off.
I was kind of digging it a little bit, the whole tapestry freeze frame, and then it just kept doing it.
You were way too
I was
lenient
hoping,
on that.
I was hoping it was going to be good at that point.
Nope. I mean, we had that one good scene after that, but nope.
Nope. I know. There's not a whole lot more to say here. I mean, Zach Galligan is in this movie.
Yeah. So there was an article that I read that I have to find it. I don't remember where, but it basically talked about his fall. Now, of course, we grew up with Zach Galligan's kind of a hero to us as Billy Peltzer in Gremlins, and I liked. And now, of course, I talked about Waxwork in the last episode and how that was kind of my saw it on USA Up All Night or Saturday Night or whatever, and then sought it out on video. He was the star of both of those movies, both Waxwork and its sequel. It's kind of sad to see him reduced to just basically having 2 lines, and basically he is the boyfriend of the girl who gave birth to Julian Sands and died.
And he dies off screen too, which is even worse.
Yeah, and so
He's got the black suit on, and the Warlock, Julian Sands, is like, "I like a black suit" or whatever. He says something stupid, and it's implied that he's going to kill this guy and take his suit. And it doesn't. It happens off screen.
So yeah, so he's on screen literally for less than 10 seconds.
It sucks. It sucks.
It sucks. Yeah. That should tell you about how shitty this movie is. So yeah. Was there anything that you liked about?
No, not really. I mean, I liked everything that I've talked about that I've liked. I think we've already talked about it. I think
I did make a few notes.
I made a few notes. I mean, I liked the flesh map. I liked some of the visceral elements of this movie that it started out with. It really did.
There were some moments of gore that were interesting.
Yeah, it really did start out like super just. I don't know. It's a bloody. I don't know. It's just very visceral. Like very.
It was very
in
Hellraiser.
Your face, Hellraiser. Yeah, it was very, very much Clive Barker, almost Cronenberg, even in some cases, kind of horror. And it felt like, whoa, this could be really interesting if they keep that up. Everything they did with the Druids really took me out of that. All of the Jedi stuff, the training.
It was like a whole different movie.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. The special effects on that side of things too were really, really bad. The sparkle effects and everything. Like some of the things they did with special effects, they should have really just left it out. Like try and fake it in other ways. Like use glitter, it would have been better. Like
some of the magical stuff that we see in it is like watching My Little Pony.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was bad. I mean, it just did not fit the tone of the movie because this movie does earn its R rating.
Yeah.
And then there was some goofy shit that it's like this is not the same tone.
I mean, I really honestly after the first act, there's not much I can say that I liked.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the things that I wrote as just I mean, like they do refer, or at least at one point the Warlock refers to himself as Merlin.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that was what they were going for, was some sort of, Merlin was around for King Arthur, then he came back for, the next attempt, or I don't know what.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because I'm reading
but it's
comic.
Just kind of thrown out there, and they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, they don't. What was funny about that was I'm reading a comic right now called it's Unholy Grail, and where basically Merlin got basically eaten by a demon monster thing, and that demon monster thing stole Merlin's visage basically, and basically is wearing a disguise of Merlin and leading all of the bad shit that happened to Camelot and all just from a we can't have a unifying person behind England and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting because it's like Merlin is very much set up as a bad guy, even though it's not Merlin.
Merlin is kind of a bad guy in the Dark Tower, Stephen King's. Like they it's Marilyn or whatever, but it's sort of implied that the Man in Black is like the Merlin of the King Arthur age. It's sort of the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I only believe the lore of Excalibur. John Borman.
John Borman.
Yeah. Everything else, even the original text bucket, it's not real.
That's fair.
Yeah. But no, one of the other, I wrote that everyone sucks because everyone in this movie sucks. The hero, the hero goes to fight Julian Sands and immediately gets impaled.
He gets impaled immediately.
And dies.
Yeah.
But then his dad, or was going to die, then his dad saves him.
Yeah, he does nothing.
Yeah. One of the things that's going on, I think, is where the ultimate final battle happens. I wrote Stonehenge Jr., because it's an itty-bitty little Stonehenge-like place in California.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
There was a moment where, so this was really strange. And I don't know if they just, they forgot to edit this whole scene into the movie or something, but there's a moment where our Luke Skywalker character saves his dad and his friends
No.
from being stoned, basically from the villagers, because they think that the druids are to blame for all of the rain and the frogs and shit that have been raining down on their town. So he shows up on his motorcycle with the other champion, or whatever you want to call her, on his warrior on his motorcycle, his girlfriend warrior, and he's this baseball like floats through the air, and everybody's like, oh my god, whoa, this guy's like a wizard, oh my goodness, can't mess with him, and he saves the old guys. But then it immediately cuts to Julian Sands torturing one of the old druids in like their basement lair, like to get one of the runestones, and then he shows up in the basement, our Luke Skywalker guy, and it's like, I'm going to defeat you, and he gets all like hubris and everything, and then
they trade action one-liners.
Yeah, they trade action one-liners. It's just a real quick battle, and then he gets impaled. It's like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah, it escalated quick.
But it's weird because like, how did he go from on the motorcycle there into the I was
I'm
perplexed.
guessing he floated there.
I feel like there's a whole scene
There's stuff that's been
of shit that just got cut.
There's
Because
they
were like, we're already at 98 minutes.
Yeah.
And we gotta cut some shit out.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap this fucking thing up.
Yeah, because this is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was weird. There felt like there were many moments that felt like more information should have been given us, but it was cut out.
Yeah.
One other thing. So the old guys. So when Julian Sands shows up in the town, which says San Bernardino, but looks like, I don't know, Dodge City.
Yeah.
It looks like
It's
a fucking
Tombstone.
ghost town. Yeah. Which is my final note here that I wrote down. So the Warriors are going to fight. They send the girl warrior away. Like, honey, go. We got this shit suck fucker over here. We're going to go with him. You just go home and have dinner ready.
Yeah, they pat her on her head. Like
Yeah, just move along.
Betty Sulu.
And so the guy, our Luke Skywalker fuck nugget, is left to basically fight a guy on his own. Everybody knows that this guy is not strong enough by himself. That's why they have
That's why they have two warriors.
That's why they have two warriors. So they send her off, and he gets impaled.
Oh, he gets his ass handed to him
Quickly.
Yeah.
Immediately. And the guy the preacher, who was a druid but now is kind of back on their side, and the Luke Skywalker's dad shows up with guns and starts shooting Julian Sands, which Julian Sands kills them.
But it looks like they actually do some damage first. But
yeah, but I guess not. And so Julian Sands shoots back by using little finger guns.
Yes.
So I called that the gunfight at the not okay corral. Because none of that was okay.
None of that was okay.
Yeah.
And then he actually blows his finger pistols. There's smoke coming off.
That's when he should have said the Wild West.
And he blows. Yeah. Why didn't he say it then? Oh, you're so right.
So it's the gunfight at the not okay corral, and I guess.
Oh my God.
Luke Skywalker's guy.
They can't even get their one-liners right.
No, they couldn't. It was bad. So yeah, the Luke Skywalker. I guess we could call him like Puke Nope Skyper. I don't know.
Puke Nope Skyper.
Yeah, because he's a fucking pathetic puke.
Puke Nope. I'm gonna write that down. Puke
Nope Skyper.
Nope
Skyper. Yeah.
Again, that's another T-shirt idea, guys. If you want to figure out a concept for Puke Nope Skyper and email us, please do so.
So I'm bummed out. I got nothing else here. So
we've still got another one of these to watch, guys. We have to watch the third, appropriately titled Warlock movie, the End of Innocence,
which stars another Hellraiser connection, Ashley Lawrence, who was Kirsty Cotton in the first two Hellraiser movies, with a brief cameo in part 3. Should I even ask how many stars you give this?
Oh boy, I mean, I'm gonna give this one I gave the last one 2.5.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
ooh, man, like
Now compared, this
yeah, it's rough.
Casablanca.
I'm gonna give this one 1.5. I'm gonna give it 1.5 because I'd give it one. I'd give it one if it weren't for the what I feel was a pretty good setup and a pretty good introduction to our villain. I thought that earned it a little bit of goodwill, 1.5, and on the Warlock Band Association game that we're playing here, I gave the first one. I gave the first one the actual band that goes by the name of Warlock. The Warlocks that are out of LA and we've never heard. I gave them the I don't know. I guess the achievement of being associated with the first film. I'm kind of rethinking that now. But I'm going to give this one the Grateful Dead. They used to be the Warlocks. This one's going to be the Grateful Dead because I feel like it meanders. I feel like it goes into directions that you don't expect and don't always want it to go into. I feel like it goes on into self-indulgence, if you will.
Yeah, the jam session of bullshit.
The jam session of bullshit. So this one is the Grateful Dead of Warlock movies.
All right. Well, first of all, fuck your 1.5 stars. I'm giving it a single star.
A single star. All right.
3/4 of a star for boobs and girls. 1/4 of a star for the opening, or for the birthing of Julian Sands. As far as the band, I'm going to give it to the 1982 German Warlocks band.
When was this?
I saw it on when I was searching for it on
the 1982 German band called the Warlocks. Really?
Yeah, because this movie is not a Warlock movie, and that band is not an English-speaking band. This movie was written by aliens.
I love
it. After they saw the first Warlock movie and thought that's what they should
do.
I
like that a lot. Good job.
Yeah. So anyway, let's just wrap this up and get to that third one. So in 2 weeks we will be releasing our Warlock 3, The End of the Innocence.
End of Innocence.
And in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
All the grams.
Share if you like what we talk about. Spread the word. I guess I can do some shameful self-promotion.
Yeah, do it.
I've got bmovieenema.com where I have watched some movies that have been worse than this one. Yep. But this is the type of fare that I find. I should just
read his Hellraiser 3 review. It's relevant.
Yeah, that was sometime back in early September, I think, when I did that. September of 2017. Right now I'm a little bit on a hiatus, but I'll be ramping back up some more articles there.
And don't forget to check out filmseizure.com.
Yes.
And we'll hopefully be posting some little riffs and rafts here and there as well. The things we think are cool, things we want to talk about, things we don't necessarily think that maybe fits the podcast format. We're gonna be throwing up there.
Yeah, and maybe some different articles. Maybe every now and then maybe some short recordings of just stuff.
Yeah, like for instance, I watched 47 Meters Below last night, and I have some things to say about it.
Do we need to have a discussion about 47 Meters?
I'll probably
I'll
probably write 1,000 words, and that'll do.
Do you need a safe space?
It's not good.
So, with that, I watched Marvels and Humans last night. I've got lots to say about that.
Boy.
Most of it, as I posted on Facebook, is just a hippo muck spreading. 30 seconds of
hippo muck spreading.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it.
Holy shit.
It's really not earned as 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. So anyway, come back in 2 weeks when we wrap up the Warlock trilogy, and if you come back in 2 weeks and you just hear dead air, that's because we've hung ourselves. Because fuck these movies.
We've hung ourselves and we've been burned above a basket of living cats.
Yes. So with that, just don't watch this movie, and yeah. So See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
There's only one way to stop a Warlock.
You mean like I have to fight? I can't even fight the school bully.
Puke nope Skype or I don't know.